One of the most popular investment strategies is dividend growth because the idea of obtaining genuinely passive income in dividends is appealing. Many people's biggest ambition is to be able to collect enough money in dividends to cover all their living needs and still have enough left over to enjoy life to the fullest. However, there is a significant disadvantage to dividend growth investing. And if you've seen other YouTube videos, you may already be aware of what I'm talking about. Being able to live entirely or partially on dividends necessitates a large stock portfolio. In certain cases, I've seen almost $1 million in equities and ETFs held by YouTube dividend investors in order to reach this stage. Obviously, this is quite disheartening to a substantial number of investors. Welcome to the Investing Wise Academy, a channel where aspiring millionaires and billionaires can learn how to invest wisely. In this video, we'd like to share with you one of the most popular investment strategies, dividend growth. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe to see more videos like this. Let's get started. Now, tell us if this scenario sounds vaguely familiar. Suppose you're 30 years old and you decide to become a dividend growth investor. You withdraw $10,000 from your savings account and invest it in Johnson & Johnson, one of the most popular dividend growth stocks available. Through the past 58 years, Johnson & Johnson has regularly increased its dividend payout. In addition to its stock price appreciation, this purchase appears to be a no-brainer for dividend growth investors. You're on your way to a rich future filled with passive income before you know it. You then realize that Johnson & Johnson stock only offers a dividend yield of 2.48%. With a current market price of $166.48 per share, you receive only $1.01 per share you own each quarter. This amounts to slightly more than 33 cents per month for each Johnson & Johnson share you own. If you invested $10,000 in Johnson & Johnson's at $166.48 per share, you could purchase 60 shares. With 60 shares, you would earn $60.60 per quarter, or slightly more than $20 per month. Earning $20 each month for investing sufficient funds to purchase a quality pre-owned automobile doesn't sound fantastic, does it? But now, here's the key point behind dividend growth investing. J&J raises their dividends every year, so as long as the company doesn't run into financial trouble, they'll keep doing it every year. So you just have to be patient. As time goes on, you start getting more and more money back. Let's say you decide to look online to see how much Johnson & Johnson usually raises its dividend every year. You find that they have a history of only raising their dividends by 4 to 6 cents per year. Using a dividend calculator can help us predict how much money we'll be making in the future. According to Seeking Alpha, the yearly dividend growth rate of J&J stock is approximately 6.13%, which will assist us in estimating how much our payouts will increase. For the $10,000 example, after 40 years of waiting, if you did not reinvest your income, you would have earned a measly $41,138.62. If you elected to reinvest those dividends, or in other words, you didn't spend a dime of your dividend income on anything you truly desired, like a new car or a pleasant vacation, or simply paying your bills for 40 years, you would have made $64,231.12 in dividends. If you think Johnson & Johnson is the exception here, you're going to find a very similar pattern with other really popular dividend growth stocks. Let's explore how J&J stacks up against some of the most prominent dividend-paying stocks out there. Another well-linked dividend growth stock, 3M, can be found right here on this page. There is now a 2.98% dividend yield on this stock at this time. A dividend yield of 2.55% is offered by Procter & Gamble, 2.21% of McDonald's, another 2.2% for Emerson Electric, and the list keeps going on. As we discussed, you can certainly continue to accumulate additional shares of Johnson & Johnson and other dividend growth stocks in the next decades. However, if you want to be able to live off profits for the rest of your life and not be considerably older, it will become increasingly difficult. It's not uncommon for investors to give up on dividend growth investing after learning this information, realizing they won't be able to live off dividends till they're gray-haired and far into their old age. In addition, if you're currently at or around retirement age, you don't have decades to wait for your J&J dividends to grow in value. You're searching for investments that offer significant dividend yields today as opposed to tomorrow. Perhaps you will have more than $10,000 to invest, but unless you're fortunate enough to have millions of dollars saved, being a dividend growth investor will not be an ideal condition. In order to be a dividend growth investor, you must be one of the two types. Either you have a large sum of money to invest, or you are young and willing to make major financial sacrifices now in order to accumulate wealth when you are too elderly to enjoy the dividend income you receive. If you want to live like Warren Buffett, we entirely understand. They're just interested in investing more and more as if it were a game of running up the score. But keep in mind that Warren Buffett is notoriously frugal when it comes to spending his own money. Therefore, if you want to begin generating a steady stream of dividend income today rather than waiting decades, it's evident that you'll need to diversify your portfolio. It's a no-brainer that you'll want to focus on investments with greater yields, but there are a few considerations to keep in mind, such as avoiding investments in companies with a very high level of risk or those whose dividend payouts are declining over time. Covered call ETFs, in our opinion, are the finest type of investment for someone who is searching for not only high dividend income, but also increase in its distribution amounts and share price. Investments like this aren't as well known as others, but they're a great source of income. If I had $100 or $1,000, covered call ETFs would be the first thing I'd invest in. QILD, the most well-known covered call ETF, now boasts a dividend yield of 11.49% and pays dividends every month rather than every quarter. A rudimentary understanding of options is necessary to fully appreciate how these exchange-traded funds are able to pay out such large dividends. These ETFs employ a covered call investment strategy in which the fund purchases a basket of equities from the NASDAQ 100 and then sells call options on those stocks. Every month, these options are sold, and the option premiums gained are distributed to investors in the form of dividends. As a result, we, as investors, benefit from extraordinarily substantial monthly dividend distributions along with growth. QILD's dividend has grown steadily over the past 2 years according to Seeking Alpha. That's already with an 11.49% dividend yield, in case you forgot. The NUSI ticker sign is another excellent choice. For this reason, it also sells put options in addition to buying call options. On days when the NASDAQ falls, which this ETF replicates, the share price of NUSI will not fall as much as expected. However, the dividend yield of this ETF is significantly lower than that of other ETFs. Even at 7.88%, it's still significantly higher than the national average. This fund was just launched back in December of 2019, and since then, it's had a good amount of appreciation in its share price. We can acquire 443 shares of QILD at the current share price of $22.56 if we reinvest our first $10,000 in that company. You'd get $101.13 a month from 443 shares at the current share price and yield of 11.49%. Johnson & Johnson's $20.20 each month isn't much better, isn't it? Imagine what a big income-producing portfolio could look like if all of your dividends were reinvested monthly. Reinvesting dividends some months and spending them other months is an option, but it isn't necessary to live only off dividends. Another excellent investment that delivers higher dividends to investors is BDCs, or business development companies. They've been there since 1980, and they're basically corporations that lend money to small and medium-sized enterprises to help them develop. In exchange for financing, these small enterprises must pay a small portion of their profits to the BDC, and the BDC must then send 90% of the money they receive from these small businesses back to shareholders in the form of dividends, as required by law. Dividend yields of more than 8% are not uncommon for BDCs. Some pay weekly, but the bulk pay quarterly, which isn't awful if it's still paying out big dividends, right? There are two stocks in the BDC sector that stand out to me. The first is Ares, which is the largest business development company in the world. This one offers an extremely high dividend yield of 8.18%. Another is New Technology. This firm has experienced a significant dividend increase. Covered call ETFs and BDCs are just a few of the investment kinds that pay huge dividends. There are other options to consider, such as real estate investment, trusts, closed-end funds, master limited partnerships, split share funds, and so on. In conclusion, if you wish to live off your profits much earlier in life, you should focus on specific alternatives to lesser-known, higher-yielding investments. Reinvest dividends as frequently as possible to create a dividend portfolio substantially more quickly, or spend income in some months, such as on a vacation, and reinvest in other months. Using this method, you'll be astonished at how much more driven you are to be a dividend investor. I don't know about you, but if I logged into my brokerage account and found that Johnson & Johnson had given me $20, it wouldn't motivate me nearly as much as seeing QILD's monthly payment of $102 would. There is undoubtedly an emotional component to dividend investing. That's all for today. What are your thoughts on dividend growth investing? Join the conversation in the comment section below. Please click the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the video. We'll see you in the next video.